In this video, I'm going to show you how to mold and cast a gearshift knob. We're going to cast it in clear, and we're going to embed a black widow spider inside of it. It'll be fun. Here at Knob Soup, we recast vintage steering wheels, restore, mold, and cast dashboard knobs, escutcheons, and rubber items for antique, vintage, and classic cars. Join me as I share with you my methods, techniques, and insights on how to reproduce interior automotive plastic parts. The first thing I need to do is find a suitable black widow spider to make a pattern from. So I started searching the internet and I came across this image. I think it'll work. I took a screenshot and opened it up in Photoshop, cleaned it up and imported it into InDesign. I sized it to what I thought would fit on the gearshift knob, then I printed it out on thick photo paper. Next I cut it out and cut out a piece of fasten two-sided mounting paper, and peeling the backing paper off, I rolled it down on a small piece of clear acrylic. Then using my X-Acto knife, I started cutting out the excess paper between the legs. To ensure that the paper didn't stick to the silicone, I gave it a coat of clear acrylic spray paint. I'll need to find something to use for the bulbous body, a small gem from the hobby store, something kind of bulbous. Now to make a silicone mold. First, using Tight Bond wood glue, I glued down a 2-inch inside diameter PVC pipe and let it set and dry. Making up a batch of Smooth-On Rebound 25 of equal parts, A and B, about 20 grams, I placed it in my vacuum chamber till it rose and fell, telling me it was free of any air bubbles. Pouring it into the mother mold, I covered my spider about 3/8 of an inch. I don't need to cover it all the way to the top. Now we'll just let it cure up and sit for about 5 hours. Taking it apart, I like the definition. Now let's make a spider. Mixing up a small batch of Task 9 by Smooth-On and adding black pigment, I spread it across the mold to get into all the nooks and crannies. Then I placed it in my pressure pot to cure for 3 hours. Now comes the tricky part. I'm going to try duct tape and to see if I can pull the casting away from the mold. No, it's not going to release. Maybe something a little more tacky. Maybe packing tape. Let's see how this works. Look at that. Pretty good. Now all I need to do is put some lacquer thinner on it and dissolve the tape. And I think I've got a black widow spider. Not such luck. Well, I finally got the tape adhesive to dissolve and break free, and I now have a spider. I found this little marble at the craft store, and I'm going to glue it down and make a mold out of it. and that will become my body. I think it'll work. Okay, now I'm going to attach the ball that I made for his body, or her body rather. This is the gear shift knob that I will be using to float that spider inside. It's a 1937 Lincoln Zephyr gear shift knob, 2 inches wide, which is a perfect size for that spider, and it's deep enough that I can float it in the top. About 2 years ago, I made a mold for casting clear gear shift knobs. So this is the bottom. This is where the gear shift comes up, and then this is the top. And if I pour down in here, then it will fill this top part of the mold. It'll fill this top part of the mold, and I'll be able to suspend what I want in the top part of the mold. So what I'm going to do right now is mix up some red, because I think my spider is going to look better with a red background. Okay, I've mixed up some bright red, and I'm going to pour it into the bottom of the mold. Now I want to come all the way up to that level. Make a little pedestal. This is a clear rod, and I'm going to cut a little tiny place off of it, glue it into the center here, and then attach the spider onto it. The base glued onto it now. I got my gram scale out to measure the crystal clear resin. I'll need 27 grams of A and 90% of B, which is 24.3. 27 in here. So now we're going to put 24.3 . Here's B and A, and we'll mix them together. First, I'll put on a mask to reduce inhaling residual fumes. Mix A into B and B back into A, and as an extra measure, pour them both into a third cup. Now we'll degas it in a vacuum chamber for 3 minutes to get the air bubbles out. I rotate the mold to be sure it reaches all surfaces. To ensure there are no bubbles remaining, I place it in my pressure pot at 60 pounds for 90 minutes. This product sets up in 90 minutes, and it's been at least 4 hours, so we're going to take it apart and see if it worked. Just trim off this top and sand it, and hopefully that the back end has not touched the top. But I won't know that until it's cut off and sanded down. I trimmed off that stem And now I'm going to take some 400, work my way down to 1,000 or maybe 1,500. Now I've taped this up with masking tape around the stem, so when I sand it, I won't inadvertently scratch the outside surface. And also it'll give me an idea how close I am to getting to that level. Okay, I've sanded this to the point where the stem is blended in. Now I'm going to take and move down to 600, 800, 1,000 and blend that in so you won't even see it. So I've chased out that hole using a 5/16 24, which is what the transmissions were basically on Ford products. I use McGuire's 150 Ultra Cut Compound because it cuts through the 1,500 scratches and the 2,000 scratches, and it gives me a nice brilliant shine. I've used polishing rouge, but it's easy to sometimes burn the surface. I have this nice soft pad that comes from Bush. They're out of North Carolina. This is a nice soft flannel buffing pad. And I put it on just my grinder, and I have it on a rheostat, so I turn it all the way down low as it can go, and start buffing. Okay, I'm all done polishing it. And as you can see, it really came out crystal clear and beautiful. And there you have a Black Widow Spider gear shift knob. Now that's going to look beautiful on somebody's bright red 32 deuce. Here's the underside. Thank you for watching.